All right, so this little tutorial is regarding a logo that was created by a student here at Reeves. It looks really good. It's he's got a black version, a black and white version, and a colored version, and that looks all great until you actually preview it into the outline. And then I go, okay, so there's a lot of elements here to create the letters. And then there's all those little squiggly things going on here. So you go, what is going on here? So what he did, he just used a brush to fill the gaps there in between things, right? So if I ungroup that, there's this gap right there and another piece right there and another piece right there, and it's just like, oh no no no, this is just ugly. So we're going to fix that up quickly. So although it looks really good, when you zoom in real close, right, and especially in those areas right there, you can see that there's those tiny little bumps around the lines right there. You know, if you are actually doing some vinyl cutting or making this logo really big on the side of the building, for example, these tiny little bumps there will look really, really bad, right? So you gotta, you know, make sure that your lines are clean. Your object is fine and with straight lines. So using a brush, so this is a stroke, as you can see there. It's not a fill. To fill those little gaps is not exactly the correct way to do it. So I'm going to do that very quickly. So first of all, I'm going to select that stroke object. I'm going to go into select same stroke weight or color, it doesn't matter, same stroke color right here. So it selects all those objects that have a stroke, and I'm just going to delete them. That's the quickest possible way to do it, right? So you can see there's still another little piece right there, which is a different color. I'm going to ungroup that. Yeah, it's a very rich black, you can see, because we're in RGB mode right there. So again, I'm going to go and select same stroke color and then delete again. So now I've gotten rid of all the strokes right there. I'm going to switch, instead of an RGB mode, I'm going to switch my color mode to CMYK, so my black will be black and not that crazy mix of 73, 67, 66, and 88% CMYK. Again, select same fill color this time, right? So I'm selecting all of that, and you can see it's selecting the whole object. But I can also rubber band select the whole thing and make it black, pure black this time, right? So things are in layers. And on the logo, it's not necessary. You don't need to have 3 layers for one logo. So first things first, he's customized the type, which looks actually quite good this way. But again, you need to, you know, merge those shapes, right? So the easiest thing is you select all that stuff. You know, you go into your Pathfinder there and your properties right there, and you just click on Unite, and everything just becomes one shape. Everything else here, I'm going to grab all of that stuff and I'm just going to move it to one layer. So I'm just going to, you know, go into my layer palette right here. You have those little highlights right there, indicates the selected art. I can just click and drag that little dot right there, and now it's on that layer. And then same thing here. I'm just going to click and drag that. So everything is on the text layer. The axe and logo layer, I can just delete them. I could have put them in the logo layer, actually, tell you the truth. I can always rename it quickly. So here we have those little gaps there in between and those little shapes there. So it also has a white stroke on it, which is not a good idea, because if you drag this logo out of the way, you can see that there's a little white stroke around the log right here, not around anything else. So we're going to get rid of that quickly. If you want to center your logo within your artboard right there, you can just hit the vertical and horizontal align right there. Ooh, maybe I should group that first. And then that'll be perfectly centered in your artboard as well. So I'm going to ungroup that again. So quickly, first things first, I'm going to close that gap right there, which is a little bit off, right? So it's not a big issue to fix. The easiest thing is you go with your direct selection tool right here, and you select the path. I'm going to switch over again to preview. You select the path right there in between those two anchors right there. So you can just, rubber band it and then delete it. That's probably the easiest thing. And then that way I can, select each anchor individually, move this one and snap it to the above path right there. So those two anchors right here align. And then this path right there, I'm going to delete it again. So I'm just selecting that path right here and hit delete. So now I've split the shape. And this is what happens, what it looks like. So all you have to do afterwards, go with your pen tool, click on one anchor, click on the other, you join those shapes, right? So those were aligned, right? And now I can align them and then close my my paths right there. So of course now it's a black shape over black, right? And this is supposed to be a hole basically in the shape. So I can select both, go back to my Pathfinder quickly and hit the minus font, and now I'm back with back in business with that shape. You can see that this shape has a tiny little notch right there. I would just go in with my pen tool again, and I would just delete that anchor right there, and maybe that one as well, because it's got a weird notch right there, and I want to have a nice curve right there. So I can delete that, and it's simpler, right? Cleaner, simpler. I'm not going to clean every line, but this is how to get rid of those pesky gaps there in that graphic. So here also same thing. So I can select again both of those paths in there, hit delete, and then join them again, right? So I can stretch that one a little bit so it's closer to my corner right there. Delete that one, and same thing here. I have this one right there. I'm just going to try to align them a little bit better this time. So it's just a way to quickly clean that up. And then same thing here. I have there's weird gaps. So I'm just going to again select it. I'm just pressing my command key to switch to my my direct selection tool. Hit delete, and again join them. If you can't fight them, join them. Right? Is that what they say? And again, this shape has a little notch right there in the upper corner, so it's not very pretty. So I'm just going to get rid of one of them. So this is how you clean up a path, basically. And same thing here. You could probably just clean that up as well, just changing your anchors a little bit, just smooth things out a little bit. Anyways, so just minor things, and you can do that throughout the whole thing. So when you have, as you can see, you have the axe, you have a log. And a log, I'm just going to get rid of the stroke altogether. So when you have them overlapping like this, again, same thing as we did right there with the redwood, you can just select it all, hit your Pathfinder Unite, and now it's one object, right? So it's a little easier. So I switch back and forth between my preview and my outlines, which is, excuse me, Command Y, and then that's easier like this to manage. So at this point, I have only a black version of that logo, which is great, right? However, he has done a color version. So how do you create those fills? Because if you go again into this closely, you can see that there's little white gaps in there, and you go, what is going on here? The tiny little white gaps there. So these are, again, if I switch to my preview, Command Y, or I think it's Control Alt, something like this on a PC, you can see that he filled those shapes with just a brush, right? So that is just not exactly the cleanest way to design a logo, because when you need to move this logo, you have that many objects to move around, unless you, of course, group them and whatnot. So it gets really complex, and it shouldn't be done like this. I'm just going to undo that to keep it normal like this. So how to do that very quickly here, I am going to duplicate this artboard, go into my artboard panel, and then I'm just going to drag the artboard one into the little plus symbol right there, and that duplicates it right there. So I have them side by side. And all I have to do right here, now that I have this shape of, actually I should probably, just looking at how it's built, Okay, so there's a highlight here on the top of the log, darker, darker, okay, okay, okay. So I probably need to finish that shape right here to have the top of the log in one piece. So we're gonna do the same thing again as we did earlier. Select that chunk, just gonna merge it very quickly because we're not here for that. Again, it's not perfect at this point, but that's okay. It's just for demonstration purposes. So now we have this thing that is easier to work with. So all you need to do here, because you have, when you do a vector shape, you have the outside of your illustration. If you select just the outside there, right there, but you also have the inside path. Although it shows that it's black, this is a path. So what you can do is you can select the whole thing and right-click on it, and I think you can, yes, right-click and then release compound path right here. You can also go under Object, Compound Path, and Release. And what that does is it splits every path within the object and turns them into individual pieces, right? So that's what I want to have right now. We have, I'm just going to push that to the background right there. We have every single piece right there. So now at this point, I can colorize every piece. I can move them out of the way, and this is the solid black, right? So this piece right there, that's the handle. It was a, oh, I don't have a color actually, so you're not, I'm going to grab those colors. I'm going to grab that file, copy that, switch over, just to have the colors as a reference, but those are, of course, a stroke. So I'm going to go into my swatches, that fill right there. I'm just going to add it to my swatch right there. Same thing here. I'm going to go as a fill. Doesn't matter really. Just going to drag that over. That I'm going to drag it over in there. Come on. Oh, no, it has to be a fill. Can't do it. Come on. There you go. So I'm dragging all those colors in. So it's the same brown here, and there's a gray here that I am going to drag in there. So there you go. So we have my 1, 2, 3, 4 colors, right? I can delete all that stuff. Now that my colors are in my swatches, I can go and implement them. So that was a light brown. This was a light brown. That was a, you can see it right there. That was a dark brown. And of course, I have to move that black shape behind. So I'm just going to arrange it, send to back. There you go. Ah, see, those they still have a white stroke around it. I'm going to get rid of the white stroke altogether. There you go. That was my axe, I believe, is that like that. Let me check again. Oh no, red. Sorry, it's a red axe. My bad. Red axe. Silver tip of the blade. That little shape right there again, it's the brown. And it's starting to look like I didn't use the right color. So that's the cool thing about having a swatch, is you can swap them really quick. We have also this piece right there that should be in front. So I'm just gonna, again, arrange, bring to front. And again, it has a stroke as well. This is why you need to clean things up before you demonstrate something. So now I have my color version right there. The black are black, right? This is a solid black. The red is a little, quote unquote, a little dirty, so it's got like 0.39% of a cyan. So it's not quite a pure red. So I can always go back into my swatch right here, double click on the swatch, and then clean my color up. I can go 100, 100, it's a little cleaner, right? Same thing with a brown here. I can go, okay, select same fill color, and I can double click on that color. And again, I can round those numbers, so I can make it 35, 63, 100, and then 30. So, you know, they're a little cleaner, that's all. And then same thing here. Make it 25, 45, 85, and 5. There. This is how you clean up a logo very quickly. So once that's done, of course, you know, group all that, group all of those. In this case, in this particular case, I've put them side by side as a demonstration, but you should have just the black logo as its own graphic. You should have the color as its own graphic. So do not make multiple artboards like I did for the demonstration. Just keep them one per artboard and then save them as, you know, your Redwood logo black, Redwood logo color. Export them as PNG and as JPEG as well. So your client will have the logo in both vector and raster files as well. So this is pretty much how you clean up a logo very quickly.